right, welcome back to the channel. All right, it's time for the 44th edition, the August 2024 update to the general tier list. We've been doing this for a long time with the top 10s every June and December, so there's even 2 months we haven't been doing it. So you can see, and you got the whole spreadsheet wizards, the MCoC Illuminati, everyone who's pitching in, giving their ideas, their thoughts, their expertise, and their experience for this tier list that we update every single month. We're going to go over the new champions and any sort of meta shifts, changes, updates, promotions, demotions. But before we get too far into it, I'm going to take a quick second because you're not going to want to miss this. Make sure this Saturday, the 24th, live on my channel at 11 o'clock a.m. Pacific Standard Time, the return of the Vega Battlegrounds Championships. We got a slightly different format, but I think you're going to absolutely love it. We've got defending champion. You won 3 of the 4 tournaments in VBC Season 1. Defending champion, VBC champion, FinTech, of course, going up against the #1 ranked competitor, the challenger, in Andrew the Rough. They're going to do a best of 9. It's going to be phenomenal. Presented completely commercial free, thanks to their sponsorship of Usafa Gaming for Loki. He told me he wants everyone to be able to see this without any interruption. He enjoys it. He thinks it's a great community event. And honestly, I couldn't agree with him more, and I'm grateful for his sponsorship. And then show up about a half hour early, 10:30 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. I will be interviewing none other than Kabam Crash. I have a lot of respect for that guy. I'm so excited to interview him. So make sure you show up, come by. He probably will field a couple live questions. He's already done a community post. I think he's gonna, I don't know what he's gonna say. I don't know what, but there's some information that I don't even know about. He's gonna be sharing with us. So I'm just pumped up. We're gonna talk about his experience as a player and all kinds of things. And that's it. And then the last 2 things, I'm sure you're familiar with my tier list. I see the views, I understand, and I know, but I always need to say this at the beginning if I can remember, is 1, the champion is not ranked on this tier list if I just don't think they're worth ranking. If myself, the Illuminati, we're like, it just doesn't make sense. It takes up space. There's so many champions as it is. It takes up a lot of room. So if they're on here, they're at least worth ranking. There's something they can do, okay? I'm not recommending you go and rank up your Purgatory. I'm not. But if you wanted to, you could pull off some cool stuff. She actually has some great damage. And 2, rank up the champions that you enjoy playing, not only because it is fun and this is a game and it should be fun, but also for pragmatically, you are going to know how to play them better. I've been saying this for years, and when I pull up and I see someone else's tier list or I see a stream something, I love hearing people say it because it makes a ton of sense. I'm glad it's caught on. You will know how to play that champion better. So let's just take Dragonan. I really like Dragonan. If you love Dragonan, like I know Adam in the Spreadsheet Wizards is a big Dragonan fan, he's probably going to pull off better results in tough content against tough defenders with his Dragonan than if there's another similarly powerful, like for their capabilities and things, champion that's more higher rated that he just doesn't know how to play as well. So if they're on here, they're worth it. Of course, the further more to the left, the more powerful they're generically and typically going to be, and across a variety of situations, which is how they get higher up. All right, and we're going to address the new champions and any sort of changes that we've made in our evaluations. The first champion we're going to change. Oh, and for those of you who are new, the legend, we'll get to it. Don't worry. And of course, this is linked in the description. You can go open up the spreadsheet. We'll have all of the playlists linked. You can go there, use this as a springboard. Make sure you learn. It's going to have videos from me, the Illuminati, and other content creators that I very much respect and I think have done a phenomenal job teaching people how to use a champion. So here we go. We got the tier above all here in the first tier of the Mystic class. And there's no one we're talking about. We're talking about everyone who's got the microphone emoji. And let's get to the newest, biggest, baddest defender in the game in Enchantress. I actually fought her live on stream in the side quest with very little experience. And I was able to get it successfully done. But then I had a few runs where it just wasn't going well, and I got absolutely obliterated. I'm finding that I do like the idea of having a miscounter against her and also the debilitate. I used both Spider-Man OG, who did very, very well. And then I also used Quicksilver, who did very well. And then I also used the Overseer, who did fantastically. I like a defender like this, where they're kind of like wanting you to play their game. She's not like Kindred, but she's similar to Kindred in that way. And if you mess up, or if you get those wrong spells from her, you can have some serious, serious problems. You're going to want to learn how to fight her. Now, offensively, there's just so much going on in her kit. And this is why we've got that dice emoji. Dice means like they're new, guys. Watch out. They could get promoted or demoted very quickly. It's not going to just be shifts in the meta or things like that. This is the initial grading out. There is a ton in her kit. She has a tremendous amount of utility. And no, her damage is not good for quite a while. But once you get her set up, her damage is phenomenal. Grass, MCoC Grass has done some great work. In fact, I can see that the playlist is not linked on her. I'll make sure it is by the time you get the spreadsheet that can go out in the video. And we're going to check out Grass's video. He's done some solos in Necropolis, and I believe, I'm sorry if I'm wrong, MSD has as well. My initial playing and testing her live on stream, I wanted to start with the very, very basics based on the advice of DLL, champion designer and good friend of mine, Daddy Longlegs. And it made a lot of sense to me, and I found her significantly more fluid to play than I thought I would. Now, she may not end up being quick enough for a player like me who's mainly focused in battlegrounds, enjoys war, and that sort of thing. But I did have fun. I did enjoy her. I found her swipe mechanic to be very, very intuitive is not the word, but I know this is a funny word for MCoC, but it was effective. And I thought it might not be. It was simple. It worked. It was great. Learning all the things you can do. Xander pulled her, is a big, big fan. Adamantium seems to really love. Just a lot of really smart players really like her. I can see it. I'm glad she's in the contest. I still have my eye out. I still meant everything I said, and the whole Enchantress concerns me, but that was more about the human hours that went in to producing her. But as it stands right now, this is where I have her. It concerns me a little bit. It concerns me a little bit to start this high on a champion who clearly does not have immediate impactful damage. And currently as a defender is getting nuked by some attackers that I felt like maybe she was designed to challenge. But I think this is a time will tell. There's so much utility in what she can do. If you play her well and you build her up, her damage can get going. But we did dock her a little bit on that because it does take a long time to get there. She's just so unique in the game. I think the analysis of her is going to be tough. And that's definitely why we've got the shield emoji on next to her, is because I do want to call out to people that part of what you're looking at is her with her Battlegrounds ranking, where she is very highly rated because of her defensive prowess. Remember, if you don't enjoy Battlegrounds, all you do is you go over and you unclick your version of on the tier list, you unclick Battlegrounds, and that removes all the Battleground scores from the champions. And it does change up the rankings, as you can see. All right, let's go ahead and move on to Mutant. In Mutant, we don't have a new champion to talk about, but we do have two slightly maturing, let's call them, kind of funny considering it's Negasonic Teenager's Warhead, who's like a teenager, I believe, and Dust. They've been in the game long enough for us to kind of start to evaluate, like, how impactful have they been on the meta? And I want to talk about them both briefly. But first, I'm going to jump over to Magneto House of X. Talked about this quite a bit on length on the day I'm covering this on stream today, where we covered all the champions that are available in the Reunion Crystal. Now, I like Magneto House of X. This tier list, maybe about a year ago, he was significantly higher up, but champion like Negasonic Teenage Warhead, Onslaught, and others, the mutant class has evolved. Right? For so long, we didn't get any new mutants, and then we got like Toad. And then now we've started getting some mutants, and the class has evolved. The relationship has evolved, and the desire, the need to bring Wags, being House of Magneto, in for that passive stun pre-fight has not been as strong lately, because you've maybe had on hand a mutant who could do that. Also, 7 stars have come into the game. They're very powerful. They're very strong. And so as a result, Magneto hasn't been as powerful in a relative sense, and so he's moved down a little bit. Well, now here he is. I definitely think if you're going to rank him up as a 7-star, though, if you do that, you're going to want to make sure he's awakened. It's that first bullet point there, right? You want to get that. It's very helpful to his damage source. The other side of this, though, is what if you don't have Onslaught or Negasonic Teenage Warhead, or you do like the team building aspect of Magneto? Remember, he's got great synergy and he does great things for his synergy partners, which is just anyone on the team. I think it's like any hero or what have you. I think he's very good. I want to see it first, though. We all kind of talked and we were like, let's see him be effective, more usable, more powerful again as a 7-star. And then we'll slowly move him up. Remember, being in the hot tier is not bad. The description on those is yes, and that's because the most common question we get asked as YouTubers is, should I rank this champion, should I not? And if you just default ask me, should I rank, I'm going to be like, yes. I'm curious what else you got, but yeah, go for it. I think he could very easily get moved into super hot tier, but just based on some of his general ratings and potentially in his war ratings, that alone would push him into super hot. So let's keep an eye on that over the next 2 or 3 months as people choose to rank theirs up or not. Negasonic Teenage War and Dust, what they have in common is that they're both relatively new to the game. They're both new mutants who I think are evolving in the class, bringing new power levels to the class and different, right? NTS was going to be like obliterate every single thing that skilled champions could ever do. And then we kind of found her like, well, she's not really that quick. And often what we're wanting to do is bring in other mutant champions who maybe, don't just turn off the threats of the skilled champions, but they're good enough. And if we skill our way through it, their damage is significantly faster, where the dangerous things of the defenders isn't ramping up as much. And so we're getting the fight over with. I don't enjoy playing her. I think she's extremely well made. I'm glad she's in the game. You can see how high we have her rated, but she's not someone that currently I'm very excited about. And then the other side is Dust. Dust seems to be bugged a little bit right now, and I'm glad that I was reminded of that on stream. She's a little bit slower in battlegrounds, but I love questing with her, and I've seen her do phenomenal things in war. So in fights where you're not trying to get the fight over in 45 seconds, she is absolutely fantastic, and she's actually a more tricky defender than I think we realized she was going to be. There's a bit of a mini game with her. It's fantastic. I think it's really, really well designed. You got to play our game. We covered that on stream today. And I did just kind of want to highlight them because I did remove the dice emoji from Dust, and we'll probably be removing it from Negasonic Teenage Warhead soon as well. Let's go ahead and move on to science. Moving on to science, we have no new champions to talk about, and we don't actually even have any changes, but I do want to talk briefly about Hulk Immortal. Even I look at it and I'm like, really? Because we see, right? Like, I know Nagase has done some pretty awesome things with his 7-star already. And I know that there's others out there, okay? That's just the first one that's jumping to mind. Also, Buddy Lee, I mean, it feels like it was just yesterday, but it's probably a couple years ago, was doing outrageous things with him. The science class, though, has moved on tremendously as far as the versatility and the utility and even the speed of damage that they can do. Also, a lot of them can do it without having their health bar go down. And so a lot of what's holding back Hulk, and I really want to emphasize this, I hope you took a second to listen to this part, is his battlegrounds and his war score. He's just not good for either of them. I mean, you can use him, right? But in war, you're not wanting to get that close to death. It's just not a good idea. And in battlegrounds, your health bar is just so important into the final evaluation and the score. So if you remove those two, he should jump up significantly. He actually has very good general ratings as far as how we do our tier list. It's just when you add in battlegrounds and war, that's where he's at. In fact, just to kind of prove it, I wanted to go and I did. I unchecked battlegrounds and war, and you can see where he's at. And I think this actually makes sense. He's phenomenal. He's absolutely great. And so if you're enjoying Quest, if you're enjoying like the Spring of Sorrow and Summer of Sorrow and EOP, and I'm not trying to make fun, it's just hard to remember all the names. I think he's a great rank up. I actually pulled one, and if I don't end up getting Punisher 2099, who we'll talk about later in this video, I may end up ranking my Hulk Immortal at least to rank 2. I might do that anyways, because he's an absolute blast, and being able to do that much damage is great. I don't really care if he's a little low on the utility, and he's doing fights. Oh, Adamantium, that's the other person who did it, is doing fights like Summer of Pain or Eternity of Pain Destroyer in like a minute and a half. That sounds like a lot of fun to me. So I did just want to point this out to everybody. And I know it sounds like I'm tooting my own horn, but I'm more just complimenting the Illuminati and the Spreadsheet Wizards for creating this spreadsheet. It's so configurable to the way you're playing the game. All right, let's go ahead and move on to tech. Moving on to tech, we've only got 2 champions here before. This kind of fits. This is a strong class. I actually think as time's gone on, I wouldn't be surprised to see future Ant-Man come in the next, let's go 12 months. Okay, very, very strong champion, but I just wouldn't be shocked to see that, right? There's no broken champions, except for maybe Ghost, but that's a whole other topic. Let's go ahead and get into Punisher 2099. This is a promotion. This is definitely a promotion. We've been talking about Pun 29 a lot on this channel for a very, very long time. O's fans has been a tremendous fan. Now Trappy has been promoting 2099, showing what he can do. Because he was only a 6-star, I don't think we were getting to see him at his highest power level relative to the other defenders and things like that, okay? So I think that's important to keep in mind. Well, now we have, and we're trying to evaluate him. We're prognosticating a little bit. Trappy has done a 7-star Unawakened video. It's very impressive to me. And the thing that in reevaluating Punisher 29 for this video in particular, and also for deciding who I wanted to pull from the reunion crystal, and my number one ask by far is Punisher 2099. I think even if I can't get him awakened, which it's not looking like I'm going to be able to do, I'm still going to select him because as I think it was Justin brought up today on stream, and then also from my own just knowledge of the game, I'll eventually be able to awaken him if I really want to. I need him once, though, to be able to do that. So I think that's what I'm going to do. I think he'd be very powerful in Battlegrounds, and I think he's going to be powerful enough in War. And here's the one thing, here's the thing that why. I'm not saying he's as good as America Chavez. I just don't believe he is. But one of the things I always talk about in all my America Chavez videos, and I talk about all the time with her, and one of the reasons why I believe she's so powerful and hard to slow down without being broken, is that everything lives within her kit. Everything lives within her side of the map and the screen and all of that, right? And it's similar to Punisher 29. I know he's got the armor break, okay? Like I said, he's not the same as her. But his power control, that combat power reduction that he has, it all lives with him. You do not need a debuff to land. You don't need a debuff to stay or anything like that. You just have to play a certain way, get the battery thing going, and it's just there. And I really like that. I think that makes it harder to slow him down. Now he doesn't need the armor break, but the armor break is very helpful, and there's more about his kit. But I feel very good about this ranking. It might be a little high. That's why we've got the dice there. Potentially he moves into the super hot tier. Maybe my Battlegrounds thinking is a little high, or my War, but I do feel really good about him at the very bottom of the scorching tier. The other champion that we're going to talk about is a new champion in Deathless Vision. I was on vacation. I was finishing up the summer really strong. I had a great time with my family, and we went camping, and we went on this beautiful trip, the whole thing. And so I was not around when some of these champions came directly into the game, like Deathless Vision. Well, I was aware, I still checking YouTube and chats and stuff, and I know that there was some disappointment with him. Guys, I got to tell you, I think he's actually pretty good. Now, you can see he's right smack dab in the middle of all of these rankings. So I could see that some people were like, I wanted more. I think that's totally rational. I'm not here to tell you that you're wrong or that he's better than you think. I don't know how good you think he is. But in testing him, I saw a lot of immunities. I saw a passive heal block. I saw really respectable damage, particularly in shorter fights. I see a robot. I see the ability to phase, which is massive. Like the way I rate champions, right? We have this whole section for general, and we look for immunities. We look for resistances. Those earn you a lot of points. And then you've got to have damage to kind of back it up. And he does. And another thing that is very helpful when you're taking fights is phase, right? That's one of the reasons why Ghost is so good. It's one of the reasons why people who can play the Vision well, why she's so good. Because not only does it help you prevent a lot of potential chip damage from block baiting and all of these things, but it also just provides free openings. You just get an opening. And so it can help you control the tempo of the fight. And he does seem to be tempo reliant. Again, I'm not telling you that he's not. But I do think he's really good. Am I personally going to rank him up? Probably not. And I know some of you are like, see, that proves it. There's all kinds of champions. There's champions in the higher tiers that I'm not ranking up because they're just not my style or what I like. I've got robots. I've got great Sinister counters. I like using a Mega Sentinel. I don't like the parry to create a phase mechanic, right? I make mistakes and I miss my parries and things. So I don't think he's someone I'm going to be looking for that. But he's even got a passive heal block. But I've got champions that can do that. But I think if you don't have those, or if you just really like the Deathless characters, they do seem to synergize. I feel like Kabam's maybe building something there. So if you've been ranking them and you enjoy them, it looks like they're going to pair really well. I don't think you should hesitate on that. But I do think he is honestly quite good and very much in the middle of this. That's where we have him. I think if you want to use him in Battlegrounds, I think you could. I'm not advising it. I think if you wanted to use him in War, I think you could. And I think if you want to use him in questing, I think you're going to have a pretty darn good time. All right, let's go ahead and move on to the skill class. Skill class, no new champions to talk about coming into the game. So we're going to talk about a few others. One is the slight adjustment. The first one is Mole Man, right? And he does have the shield there to signify that we now have kind of, well, we didn't promote him into dual threats, but I do think it's worth. His health pool is large enough. You can throw him on defense. I think he is worthy of considering as a dual threat. And then Jaeger with the rank 3 has shown us a lot of very powerful, eye-opening fights. Like I think it was even like Red Skull and stuff I just hadn't really considered. I think it was even like Photon. So that push up, that change in rankings in the Battlegrounds tier list, which will come out on Monday the 26th, was enough to push him up slightly. He was already in the Scorching tier. He just moved up slightly. He's up above Bullseye and Shang-Chi now. The other one is I honestly can't recall if we talked about it at length or not, because I had to edit it down so much, the last tier list. A lot of you got back to me when we did the top 10. You're like, you're too low on Shang-Chi. And I was like, honestly, I think we are. And I went back to the Illuminati and they're like, I think you are too, Vega. And I talked to the Spreadsheet Wizards, and it kind of caused us to evaluate the way we were even evaluating the champions and the way we were scoring them. And it was great because it didn't change everything. It just helped us even better reflect our actual opinions. And lo and behold, with that new scoring system, with slight tweaks, Shang-Chi was one of the champions that moved up, while the vast majority of them stayed exactly where they were. He's great. He's phenomenal. Allison Edits has recently done a really good video on Shang-Chi, helping you see really powerful ways, helping me see anyway, really powerful ways to use the Relic and the Striker with the Unblockable. Very cool video from that smart young woman. All right, now moving on to the other champion we're going to talk quickly about is Hitmonkey. I recently took my Hitmonkey to rank 5. I ascended him. He's good. I definitely see why you all like him, because he's also a blast to play. And if you run the recoil, you can get those off right away. In that video, we talked a lot about how to basically manage his Assassin's Cunning and his Primal Rage, I think it is, and how to make sure you're in the stance that you want to be in, because they actually do different things. Yes, I said do. But it does help you with like different defenders and things like that. And he also really just impressed me with, it was a fight against a Null, actually. And he impressed me a tremendous amount for his ability to go against the champion that's getting a tremendous amount of armors, has a tremendous amount of bleed resistance, that was placing obviously inequity on us. And Hitmonkey still held his own. I really hope he comes out as a 7-star. If he does, I think he's someone I'll be pretty excited about getting. This is about as high up as I feel like I can get the 6-star, because it's a skill class, just like all these other classes. They've grown tremendously, and the game is asking us to do a lot of different things. But trust me, I get it. I see why y'all like Hitmonkey. I think this is a great place for him. And if he comes out as a 7-star, I think the damage may be so impressive, at least for a while. I could see him potentially even moving to the bottom of that Scorching tier. All right, let's go ahead and move on to our last and final class in Cosmic. So changes to tier above all. We've got 2 new champions, actually, both in Scorching tier. I really love this, right? I think you probably have to go back like maybe almost a full year, 6 months around, where we talked about how top-heavy Cosmic was. Well, Bam must have been watching my videos. No, just kidding. But it is very cool to see that a lot of champions who've ended up in that tier have come. I think it's rounded out the class fantastically. And the first one we'll talk about is Superior Iron Man. I absolutely love this champion. I have taken him. I don't put in many resources in my 6-stars anymore, just because of where I'm at in the game, the way I'm playing. But I used my Saga gem, or whatever, my 4-5 on him. I used my resources to get him to rank 4, then use that to get him rank 5, and ascended him. I very much hope to be playing him a ton next week, live on stream, and then getting out videos on him. He is an absolute blast. One of the many things I love about him is, of course, the tremendous damage. You know, I love big yellow numbers. I love big yellow numbers, big red numbers, big green. I love big numbers. But also, he can be played simply. You don't have to do all the intercepts and things like that. You can do 5-hit combos. You can do medium to get your medium ender. You can do a 5-hit combo and even light. And you will get excellent results. If you want to get even superior results, pun intended, yes, the intercepts will be very helpful. Also, I'm pretty certain that they're going to be, over time, we're going to find more and more effective loops. It won't be quite the same way as like Cosmic Ghost Rider with all the various rotations, but I do think we're going to find more and more effective loops with him, potentially even using the power gain off of his SP1. It has a tremendous amount of small armor breaks that are possible. So for a content where you're wanting to remove a lot of armors, I can see that being strong. And if that's not the case, you're just going to go to the SP2, best I can tell right now. There's also the ability to clearly take hazard shift lanes and lanes that are putting those damaging debuffs on you. He's got the heal. I really want, he's one of my most wanted pulls out of the Titan Crystal right now, because I'd love to get the crit stat focus on him, just make the damage even more reliable. Love this champion. The biggest knocks on him are like he has got no sort of nullify protection, stagger, anything like that. He has no true sensibilities, right? So he's not countering armor block, he's not countering evade, he's not countering miss, and he's not hitting through resistances and armor ups as if they did not exist, which is very relatively common in his class. But he's got those armor breaks. So, and then also his buffs have like the plus 100% ranking or something like that. So he can have some sort of mitigation against champions who are glancing as well. I really like that champion a lot. Moving on to Beta Ray Bill, an extremely powerful champion, talking about big red numbers, right? That huge shock damage, the burst that can come off. Simula has done a fantastic how to use video. Bitter Steel has done a fantastic Battlegrounds, and I think even some war and questing showcases. So I will update Bill's playlist too, and that'll be linked by the time this playlist goes live and this video goes live. Highly recommend you check that out. Did the testing on him, and something that I'm still stuck on, and I want to take a couple months probably on Bill. And all the new champions have that dice emoji anyway, but I'm particularly wanting it there on Bill. Is I did move his flow down a little bit. I initially came, I think, with a score 4 on flow. And for those of you who aren't familiar with my term on flow, it's kind of like how readily available are the abilities to you? Like how much can the AI or the defender or node sets even mess with your loop, what you're trying to do? How resilient is the champion to that? And one of the things in all the build videos I saw and I heard, and even in my own testing, was you really want to make sure the opponent has no power when you go into your loop, basically, when you're holding the heavy and all of that. And I know his signature ability provides a bit of a protection from this, but there's enough things in the game, especially in competitive content, where power is an issue, right? We talk about power so much, and how, for me, champions with power gain mechanics, I'm already like, oh, I'm interested now. That's okay. I'm into this. Or champions that are mitigating power gain. And I know Bill's got like the energize off his SB1, but what I'm thinking is there's so many defenders potentially, and then also nodes that might start to really make Bill's loop very difficult. Now, Simula showed crazy stuff in log form, like a special that really could hit for 1 million. Like, check it out. Okay, Bitter Steel shows him being great in Battlegrounds. So and I've got him in the Scorching tier, even with me downgrading the flow. So none of this is meant to be taken as like he's a bad champion. But there's just a thing there that's got me from being like one of the best 5 cosmic champions in the game. If that gets solved, if I see that the flow should actually go up, and if his long form score goes up, he's probably going to be up there with Adam Warlock. Just getting you prepared for that. I don't see him moving down to like the super hot until like just the meta or something, power creep. I struggle to see why that would happen given everything we've seen already from him. So just wanted to put that out there. Maybe get your thoughts on it, of course, too. And then the final champion we'll talk about today is in the super hot, and it's the ongoing saga of Gladiator, right? Like I didn't jump. My role in the saga did not come about until he was buffed. I tested his buff on the CCP beta, and I just absolutely loved him. I thought they took a great design from the designer. They polished it up, and I think they made it better for the game that we're actually playing, which I thought was great. It's like it felt like the whole way the process is supposed to work from command side. Okay. And I said though in the video, it's like the one thing that concerns me, the one thing is the whole intimidate thing, and he's got intimidate, infuriate, and like it just doesn't feel like it's working as reliably as it used to. I know it's always been a bias, but it feels like the bias got dialed down a little. And I could see in competitive play a player like me not wanting to use him because I'm going to push the issue, and that's going to cause me to make mistakes. And if you're making those sorts of mistakes, you've just completely like lost his loop, lost his confidence, lost everything you're trying to do. He's not resilient in that way, at least. And that needed to be reflected. Well, now people like OYC are having tremendous results. I know Karate Mike having tremendous results. So it's not like it's not possible. It's clearly possible. But I was not achieving them. And when I put this in, the Illuminati, like I think it was Aiden, was like, well, no, we send them in war all the time. We have great results. But I see what you're saying, and okay. And you're like, get to the point. Here's the point. Is in this last week, at the last week of Battlegrounds, I was content with how I had done. I had hit my alliance minimum, and I just wanted to have some fun. So I took some fights with Gladiator, and I very intentionally slowed myself down. I did not try to get the fights done in like 35 seconds. And the fights went really, really well. It was against Future Ant-Man. I just slowed down. And it wasn't like Future Ant-Man's AI was particularly compliant to what I was trying to do. The same issues arose. It's just I was slower, I think is the right term. I remember patient, maybe is a term. And it got me thinking, okay, I at least want to call this out in the tier list video. I'm not saying we're promoting him now, but I'm not saying we're not. I at least wanted to call this out, that I do think he's very powerful. I do know there are a lot of roles for him in this game. And if you can play him well, I definitely think you should consider him over champions like Vox, Angela, Gamora, Captain Marvel, although that's where we have rated. I think this is a champion that's particularly unique in that the user needs to be very, very comfortable with them. So I did want to call that out. That's it. That's the video for this month. Another great one. I feel really good about it. I'm pumped up. Make sure you show up for the VBC on Saturday. If not, watch it back on the playback. We're going to have a great time with that and get excited for the following month against Barrow. As usual, let me know what you think we got right. Let me know what you think we got wrong. And if you see the Spreadsheet Wizards or any of the Illuminati out there in the wild, make sure you say hello and thank you for all the work and sharing of their knowledge and stuff. They don't need to do this, but they do. And I appreciate the heck out of it. Thank you so much for watching. Take care.